Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another fantastic episode of Poddywood, the show where we talk about movies with the people who make movies, although not quite in this one, but we'll get to that in a bit. I am one of your co-hosts, Steve Hester, and with me as always is...
Well, that would be me, Andrew Roger Carson. How's your weather, Steve?
The weather is... it's actually not too bad. How's your weather, Andrew?
Oh, it's glorious.
Yeah.
Absolutely glorious.
Where are you, Andrew?
Great. Yeah, well, I'm in Los Angeles, Steve.
Oh, I'm not jealous in the slightest.
No need to be. No need to be. And, very nearly didn't make the show today, but you know me. I do my best. I'm staying in the lovely home of our frequent guest, Bill Daly.
Yes. Hi, Bill.
And Bill says hi, by the way. So yes, out here, good thing is we've got some very interesting guests kind of lined up for when I do return. Mm-hmm. More on that in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yes.
So yes, it's a lovely California morning here.
Yeah. You know, it's a real shame that I'm not there. And speaking of I'm not there...
Oh, that was such a good segue.
Thank you. Guess we need to get on to last week's What's in the Box.
Yes, which was I'm going to say, is it 2007?
It's 2007 again.
Yeah, this is your gap year for movies, I'm telling you. Todd Haynes' movie, I'm Not There, which is a very stylized kind of, is it an homage?
I don't know. It's kind of is a biopic, but not a biopic of Bob Dylan.
Yes.
And those of you out there who don't know who Bob Dylan is, he was majorly huge during the 1960s, particularly his protest songs and his folk music and his instrumental stylings. Some of that also gets touched on in the film when he decided that he was going to go electric. But you've got different characters representing different aspects of his life. So, for example, you've got Christian Bale playing him as he's starting to get into the business and start to build up a following. Then you've got Heath Ledger, surprisingly enough, who is taking on the role of him and his private life as he's dealing with his marriage. Then you've got Cate Blanchett, who probably looks the most like Dylan.
Yes, definitely.
Out of all of them, playing him when he's in his kind of destructive period. And there's a whole host of other names in there. One of the standouts, I have to say, is the guy who plays him as a young boy. It goes by the name of Woody. Marcus Carl Franklin, who comes across really, really naturally in this part. Comes across very, very wise, far wiser than his years. And I don't know exactly how well he actually played the guitar, but he came across like he knew how to absolutely hammer the strings on it. So, what you actually have is you don't have a traditional narrative. There isn't really so much as a beginning, a middle, and an end, or a kind of heightened, stylized idea of what the actor or the artist went through, like you would have seen in the Bohemian Rhapsody, where things are kind of things happen a little bit ahead of time. Like, for example, Freddie Mercury didn't get the diagnosis that he had AIDS until after Live Aid. But it worked for the purposes of the film. Here, the story goes back and forth between the different characters. The narrative, therefore, is very disjointed. It doesn't really feel like it flows, and there are certain points where it does feel like it starts to get up ahead of steam, and then it switches over to another aspect of his personality, and it then has to kind of start up again. And some of them get given a lot of screen time, like Cate Blanchett's Jude. She gets a ton straight in the middle. Christian Bale, he barely gets any overall. And it gets a little bit hard to follow at times because of that.
Yeah.
And also because of the fact that a lot of the stuff that's happening is, I suppose it's kind of, would you say it was more kind of interpretive as to what happened? It's more symbolic of things that happen in his songs and in real life as opposed to the actual events.
Yeah, I mean, it's not traditionally a biopic.
No.
Okay,
No, it isn't.
It's more, I'd like to say that there seems to be a lot more fantasy elements, I think, in regards to the story and mixed with truth. There was another Bob Dylan project that did that called Rolling Thunder Review that Netflix did just recently. And that did a very similar thing that was mixing a documentary about Dylan, but also made it a bit fictional as well. So you had someone like Sharon Stone, who is going to come into play later on, saying that she had met Dylan at a young age, and it's not true. It's just something that's actually put in there.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the mystique of the Bob Dylan character.
Yeah. Because it is a character more than anything else. I think it's it's very, very relevant that a lot of people do have many personas, particularly if you're in the artistic industry. You have the persona that you put on when you're performing, then you've got the persona that you put on for the public, then you've got the private persona, the professional persona, and it's very easy to see where they were coming from and exploring these different aspects of this one person. But personally, I don't actually think that they succeeded. Or it could just be because of the fact that I don't know enough about Bob Dylan to get many of the references that were going on, particularly the Richard Gere section. I had no idea what the hell was going on there. But I get the feeling that if I was more clued up on the man's life and what it is that he'd gone through, that I probably would have twigged a bit better.
True. You're just going to have to start listening to the albums from the very beginning to the end.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a Todd Haynes movie, so he's no stranger to making fully artful movies instead of your typical narrative style. So, I mean, he has done narrative styles because he's done movies like Far From Heaven, which I thought was incredible, Carol, which was really, really good, and then Velvet Goldmine, which I'm kind of always on the fence about. And it's not because of seeing Ewan McGregor's penis for like 7 straight movies.
But, he does like to get it out, doesn't he? I'm sure there was even a moment when he was making the Star Wars prequels. He was like, George, come over here. Can I whip out my lightsaber in this scene?
Yes.
No, you can't do that. No, you're not putting that in there.
Yes. Can ILM get it to glow? That's what we want to know. Runaway with the movie has to be Cate Blanchett for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely transformative performance from her that she actually did with socks down her trousers.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, to make it feel more like a man so that she would walk like a man, etc. And it's like, wow, imagine that if she'd actually won the Oscar for that. And I think she may have been nominated. I can't remember. It's like the first actress to win playing a male with a pair of socks down the pants.
No, she was wonderful in it. Like I said, she definitely looks the most like Dylan. And her whole attitude was very kind of forthright and very, very fearless. I think is probably the best way to go for it. She properly lent into the role without question.
And it pays off. She is the best person in the movie. Christian Bale was great as well for what he had. And this was the final film of Heath Ledger that was released while he was alive. So this is probably one of the last works that he maybe was at a premiere for. But can we just kind of discuss the fact here that this may also be the only movie where both Batman and the Joker have played the same character in a movie?
Yeah, and to make things even a bit weirder, Ledger's character is kind of put forth as an actor, and he ends up playing Christian Bale's character in the narrative of the film. So basically, you've got the Joker playing Batman. Well, both are playing Bob Dylan. It's a bit weird.
And this movie happened a year before The Dark Knight as well. So they obviously had some familiarity, which obviously kind of helped them on screen together.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really interesting fact. I really liked I'm Not There, but I like experimental movies as much as anyone else.
Best thing that I can think to describe it is I didn't feel like I was entertained by it. I didn't feel like I was properly informed of something either, because I didn't really feel like I was learning much about the actual person, because there's too much in there to try and unpack the fact from the fiction. So
yes.
It was definitely an interesting film to watch, visually very interesting, and every single section has got its own very unique and distinctive visual style, which helped wonderfully. But I really don't think I'd watch this again.
Well, you don't need to. You've watched it once
I've
now.
watched it once, yeah. It's not going to get pulled out of
So
the box
when it comes
twice.
to repeat viewings, you're not there.
No, I'm not. Well done.
That's fair enough. Well, there you go. There is the first kind of what's in the box while we're both on different sides of the Atlantic. How about
Yes.
that?
Yeah. Probably not going to be the last.
Yes. So we may even call this the first anniversary.
We watch them again all of the time, or we get them on Prime for free. But we only know how old they are when we learn their anniversary.
Yeehaw.
I'm sorry if I sound a little bit bunged up at the morning. It's we're doing this first thing in the morning here in LA, so I haven't properly woke up. Bill's nicely just gave me my first brew of the morning to get me hyped up for the day ahead.
How
We just had to
lovely
put
he's
up with
giving
me
you
having some.
tea.
I know. Can't get better service than that.
No.
But anyway, we have 4 anniversaries this week.
4. Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay. Strap yourself in. Four of notice anyway. And the first one, we're actually going to go back 40 years. Can you remember that far, Steve?
Barely.
Well, if you did, you would remember that this was the year where Porky's was released.
Now, I've never seen Porky's. I've heard
Oh, we've got a
about
big
it.
thumbs up from Bill across the room. He's a Porky's fan.
Wait, no, I think I have seen it. I think it was on Channel 4 or something one night, but I wasn't kind of really clued into it, and I missed like the first half, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me that it's Channel 4 that would show it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any other channel would have shown this in the day. This was directed by Bob Clark. If you have heard the name Bob Clark, you're probably thinking, isn't he the guy that did A Christmas Story? And yes, he is the guy who did A Christmas Story. And apparently he did Porky's too in order to get A Christmas Story off the ground.
Right.
He didn't really want to do a sequel, and that's why he didn't return for Porky's Revenge, which ended up being the third one. People only remember Porky's anyway. That's the one that everyone remembers. And Bob Clark also did the original Black Christmas, which has been remade twice.
Isn't that horrible?
I'm actually amazed. Yeah, it was the Christmas horror movie. Like you get April Fool's Day, Halloween,
Yeah.
and you all got these seasonal horror movies.
Yeah, like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so he did Black Christmas, which followed the exact same premise. And unfortunately, Bob Clark also made Baby Geniuses, which is universally kind of loathed everywhere as one of the worst films ever made. Porky's, I don't think there's anyone who hasn't seen it or doesn't know about it, but you may not know that this was actually a Canadian film, not an American movie. And it also was the highest grossing Canadian film for 24 years straight.
What?
Yeah. It's been
Wow.
beaten since, so it sits behind Bon Cop, Bad Cop. Yeah, that is a real movie.
Bun Cop.
Bon Cop.
Bond Cop.
B-O-N.
Oh, Bond Cop. What?
Yeah. Bon Cop, Bad Cop. I don't know. And strangely enough, the second highest grossing movie, Canadian movie at the moment, is Resident Evil Afterlife. Yeah. So Porky's now sits behind that, which just doesn't feel right.
It was basically a poor man's Animal House, from what I gather.
Kind of. I think they were all spawned on from Animal House. So these kind of films became crazy. In the same way that American Pie just completely relaunched all those teen movies in the early 2000s.
Yeah. And then just like American Pie, it shat on its legacy by releasing loads of them.
Yes, loads of the direct-to-DVD ones that came out afterwards. This was also the 5th highest grossing film of 1982. And when you look at all of the movies that were released in 1982, that is quite impressive.
There must have been a real need for teen boner comedies around about that time.
Yeah. Hey, it worked. It worked. Also, apparently this was the first movie to gross over 1 million at the Irish box office. But apparently it did have an initial ban in Ireland at first. And there was an appeal for it to be released.
Where was it? Was it two priests that were just stood there just going, down with us, sort of thing? Careful now.
Quite possibly. This is the movie that launched Kim Cattrall's career.
Yep.
And I don't think she kind of escaped that image of Lassie ever since. And I think this is probably one of the first mainstream movies to actually maybe have an actual penis poked through a wall.
Okay, you can tell that I've not seen the whole thing because that would have stuck in my brain. I don't
Do you
actually
think you
remember
were
that.
talking about a different movie? I've never seen Porky Pig do this.
No.
No. But yes, 40 years ago, and it's a well-regarded movie. It really is. It's become one of those favorites that everyone has seen. It's quite a phenomenon, really.
Okay. Is it in the box?
No.
Okay. It's obviously not that well regarded then, is it?
Well, Bill's give it the thumbs up, so it's on the Billometer.
Okay.
So let's fast forward 10 years to 30 years. And it's been all over Facebook this week, I've noticed. But it is the 30-year anniversary of Basic Instinct.
Oh, yes. Now, I'm not on Facebook, as you very well know, but I did catch something about this on Reddit. No, this one I have seen. I think it was one of those movies that if you were born at a certain age, and I would have been like about 10 years old, it was forbidden fruit for the next few years afterwards. It was this, oh God, there's so much sex stuff in this, oh, it's dead rude. And then as you start to enter puberty, it does become like this holy grail of filth that you just want to enjoy. There was that, and there was Sliver, and for a time Sharon Stone was just this sex kitten that everyone wanted to have on screen.
Yeah, and then like The Specialist and stuff like that. It was basically how many movies in a row can Sharon Stone get fully naked in?
Yeah.
But Basic Instinct was, I guess, the movie that kind of catapulted her out, directed by everyone's favourite madman, Paul Verhoeven.
Yes.
And this movie, I don't even feel lands on his Mount Rushmore, because you think Paul Verhoeven, RoboCop is what jumps to mind straight away.
The weird thing is that he directed Sharon Stone in Total Recall, and apparently she said that she had a horrible time working with him, which then begs the question as to why they ended up working together later, whether or not hatchets were buried or whatever.
I had such a horrible time working with him that I came back to be the lead in his next movie.
Yeah.
So just going through some facts of the movie, would you believe that this movie is the reason why Wayne Knight got the job of Ned in Jurassic Park?
Really?
Yes. Apparently, Steven Spielberg went to see Basic Instinct.
Was he wearing a trench coat? Rapidly peeling bananas.
Yes. Funny enough, when you think of Steven Spielberg, you don't expect to hear him going to see Basic Instinct for some reason. You just feel it's like a dirty rumor. That can't be true. That can't be true of Steve. But yeah, apparently he really liked Wayne Knight's character and sought him out for the role in Jurassic Park, which was, I believe, the year later. Mm-hmm. And now Ned's become one of the biggest memes going on the internet. It's no surprise here that this has the most paused shot in movie history.
Yes, we're not going to delve into exactly what it is. If you know, you know. If you don't, then we're not going to sully your mind with such filth and vulgarity.
No. I think Jessica Rabbit probably comes in second.
Yeah.
The big brouhaha at the time, the sex scenes that were, really realistic. So there was a lot of controversy with the MPAA. They released a lot of things going through uncut. And the sex scenes were very, very intimate. But what you may not know, they weren't fully naked. So they had to wear the genital pads. And mainly because the AIDS epidemic was rife at the time. And also, Joe Esterhaz, who's the name that you will associate with the writer of this movie, was paid $3 million for this script, which was a record at the time. And there was apparently a bit of a feud, a kind of, not really a blood feud, but a kind of thing going on between Joe Estes and Shane Black at the time over who was the highest paid writer. So Shane Black, I think, actually topped Joe Estes, and Joe Estes then went on and wrote another script and to get his highest paid writer in Hollywood tagged back. So that's an interesting story to ask Shane Black one day.
Yeah. Shane, come on the show.
As you mentioned earlier, this is wrongly attributed to the movie that discovered Sharon Stone, and it's not. She'd been in the business for 12 years. She'd acted in a number of things. More noticeably, she was in Police Academy 4
Yeah.
as Mahoney's love interest. And she does hardly anything in that movie because she's apparently a reporter in it.
No, he's totally just pointless in terms of the story. She is just simply there so that Mahoney has a girl to latch onto.
Yeah.
I'm sure, wasn't she kind of like something like Alan Quatermain and the Lost
Yes.
Temples of Gold or something?
Yes, she was in the Cannon Films movies, King Solomon's Mines,
That's the one, yeah.
Alan Quatermain, and The Lost City of Gold. And apparently, I remember a story about that. They had the scene in, I think it was King Solomon's Mines, where they put her in this huge cooking pot.
Mm-hmm.
And the story goes that apparently she had pissed everybody on that crew off so much that they all took turns pissing in it before the shot.
Oh dear, that's not what you want, is it?
And then she was in there for hours.
Yeah, at least she had a pot to piss in. Yeah.
Oh, very good. And yes, obviously she was in Total Recall as well.
Yeah.
But Basic Instinct, yes. For all its queries, it is a landmark role for Sharon Stone. Catapulted her into a household name.
Yeah, it's the one that she's most associated with.
Exactly. And I like Jerry Goldsmith's score for this movie because I can still remember it clearly to this day, just buzzing around my head. So that's worthy of mention as well. But yes, Basic Instinct is 30 years old this week. Don't watch it with your grandparents.
No, definitely not.
Save it for 9 songs.
Oh, please tell me that's not coming out now.
At what point?
I don't care.
Okay, then I guess we go to 25 years. I had the good foresight to ask Bill for clarification on these beforehand. But Space Jam was released 25 years ago this week.
Oh, yes. I think this is, you were talking about Wayne Knight being meme material. This is other meme material.
Yeah, Wayne Knight shows up in 2 movies this week.
Oh yes, of course he was in this, wasn't he? He was like the agent.
Yes, yeah, he played his agent, so he was kind of the I guess the folly for Bill Murray for a large amount of the movie.
Yeah,
and it was directed by Joe Pytka, who was a commercial and music videos director. He directed stuff for Nike, and he had directed a movie before. He directed a movie called Let It Ride with Richard Dreyfuss, which I don't think a lot of people know about, but it was actually a fun little movie. It's worthy of finding it if you can. It's a very rare movie to find. So yeah, overall, Ivan Reitman took on kind of a lot of the hats on there. So you can really kind of class him as a director because once Joe Pytka had finished shooting, then it went over to Ivan, who was obviously in charge of post and everything else. So kind of rightly, I guess you can class him as the overall director of the show.
Yeah, this is a favourite film for a lot of people.
Oh,
I think it formed a...
Just don't wear the jacket outside.
Yes. Yeah, like Bill mentioned the other week. It's one of those, because if you were a little kid, then it was amazing to watch because of all these live-action Looney Tunes characters suddenly appearing. And if you were slightly older like me, I was in my teens, I just thought it was a really funny film.
Yeah, and it came about due to, it was a popular commercial in the US, the Air Jordan commercials. Mm-hmm. So it was Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny, apparently taking on Marvin the Martian and a bunch of other Martians, and that's where it kind of just spawned from there. And it was a huge movie, especially in the UK.
Oh, it makes me very angry.
Yes. But did you know the original promotional website for this movie, made in 1996, was still active up until it was retconned for Space Jam 2.
Yes, I did. It was like one of the longest untouched websites available on the net.
Yeah.
God, yeah, because we're talking way back in the day of things like GeoCities, if anyone remembers that. And yeah, so the website was kind of that level, but that was kind of right for that kind of time period. But it just was this wonderful little time capsule of stuff. So I haven't been onto the website for the new movie, and I'm hoping that there is like a little link on there which just takes you to a little subdirectory where the original website still is. If not, then the people at Warner Brothers should just add that on there. Just a little click somewhere.
Yeah. An interesting thing that I kind of picked up on here was reported on a couple of different places, and I asked Bill about this. that apparently Disney reneged on an agreement to share their characters in Space Jam. And that was following the kind of Roger Rabbit agreement where Warner Brothers characters would show up in Roger Rabbit. So I asked Bill on this, and he said, it's quite possible. He doesn't know for sure, but that does seem like a Disney move, if you ever ask me. Because apparently Mickey Mouse was labeled down to be the referee, which
Italy.
makes sense, in a way.
Yeah,
and it would have been interesting, but it didn't spoil Space Jam, to be honest.
No, not at all. It's a wonderfully entertaining movie.
Because it would have been a case of, we know this is the Warner Brothers movie, but we want our Disney characters to have equal time to your characters. And then suddenly it's not about the Looney Tunes characters anymore.
Yeah, it makes more sense than Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because in that one you've got Roger and Jessica and Eddie Valiant, and they're the focal points. They're the main characters, original characters for it. And all the others are just kind of on the periphery, just popping in and doing little cameos. With this, because so much focus is on the Looney Tunes, it would have ruined the film, I think. So it was probably a good move in hindsight.
Yeah, and plus, the Looney Tunes get away with a lot more than the Disney characters do. Yeah. Like in this movie, you have a Pulp Fiction reference.
Yeah, which coincidentally was a Disney film, wasn't it?
Yes, but they've got guns in the kids' movie, which is probably why this was the first animated film to be edited for content for TV airings. So I'm guessing the guns went.
Yeah, probably bananas or something.
Quite possibly, or probably just cut that scene completely out. And I guess if they did it nowadays, I wonder if they'd actually cut the R. Kelly song out of this movie.
Yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yes. For me, I always thought this was great achievement in filmmaking. It comes on the heels of, Roger Rabbit, which is more widely known for it. But I think there was so much about this that was so well done. And you look at it now and it's a little bit dated. But it's still a much better movie than Space Jam 2. Have you seen Space Jam 2 yet?
I tried to watch it with the kids, but they were just being kids and causing so much noise and headaches and hassles that I know vaguely that Don Cheadle is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's LeBron now instead of Michael Jordan, and that's pretty much all I know at this stage. Yeah. Oh, and the Droogs show up because you've told me that.
Yeah. It's just a fun movie.
Yeah.
No one questions exactly how Bill Murray shows up at the game, and he just comes out like, "Oh, I'm friends with the producer."
Yeah, I bet
it's like either it's lazy writing or it's like, do we really have to explain that? Can't we just come up with a joke line? And it works.
Yeah,
it really does work.
He was friends with the producer, so
yeah. And the composer was James Newton Howard, and it was a really good score. I've listened to this score when I've just been sitting at home writing, because I just have music scores on all the time, and I actually really like the Space Jam score.
I can't picture it in my head. All I can think of is the R. Kelly song. That's it. That's the only one I can think of.
Well, yes. So 25 years ago, we had Space Jam was number 1 in the UK.
All right. So we got one more.
Okay, then. Finally, are you ready for 20 years ago?
Yes.
20 years ago this week, Ali G in the House was released.
Yeah, not seeing this one neither.
You're probably the only person in the UK that didn't around this time.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yes,
it was everywhere. And I used to work in a branch of GameStop, and we had racks and racks of used DVDs, and loads of people would just trade this in. So we had tons of copies of it.
Yeah, it was. It was widespread because Ali G just completely broke out into the mainstream like you wouldn't believe in the UK. Sacha Baron Cohen was a household name overnight. It felt like he started out as a character on, was it the 11 o'clock show?
11 o'clock show, yeah.
Where Ricky Gervais also started out as a roving reporter.
I remember the 11 o'clock show because the woman that hosted it ruined The Sixth Sense for me, and I've never forgiven her for it.
Oh, Daisy Donovan.
Yeah.
Was it Daisy Donovan?
I have no idea who it is, but whoever it is, she can go swivel.
Yeah, I do remember hearing about that. But yes, suddenly Ali G had his own movie within like a year of the character like making its first debut. and it was a huge hit. And Ali G
Yeah.
was everywhere. He had a single with Shaggy, for God's sake, called "Me Julie," which was obviously used for this
God,
movie.
yes, of course it was.
So Sacha Baron Cohen was like a millionaire probably overnight with that character, and I think he's retired the character now.
Yeah, because the problem that you've got with that kind of character is that it becomes very well known, very, very fast. And so
Yeah.
you can't do the thing that you used to be able to do. It's like when they started doing the Jackass movies, they had to spend ages putting them in like old man makeup or going to the other side of the world where the show wasn't as well known so that they could keep doing the kind of pranks that they wanted to do. So every time they would do it in like normal streets, or they try to prank a particular person, they go, "Oh yeah, it's Johnny Knoxville." And it was the same thing with this. They go, "Oh yeah, you're LEG. No, I saw your show. Yeah." So yeah, there are times where you just have to put it to bed and move on, which you did with Borat. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was directed by Mark Mylod, and it's
Your
a name
lad.
that, yeah, it's my lad, Mark Mylod. So Game of Thrones people will see that name a lot because he's directed a lot of Game of Thrones. Right. He's also directed Succession. He's directed Shameless here in the US and The Affair as well. So they're like the main shows that you'd probably see his names on. But in doing my research for this, and yes, there is an appearance by Borat in this movie as well, a very quick appearance by Borat, just like walking through and says, "High five." But the more interesting things about this is what happened around this production. For one, this is hilarious. I find this so funny. Local councillors in Staines, where the movie was like based, they voted to officially rename the town Staines upon Thames solely because of the negative portrayal of Staines from this movie.
Your town is called Staines.
Yeah.
But there needs to be like another town nearby called Vanish.
Yes. So they voted to call their town Staines upon Thames, and mainly because the movie portrayed it as, the old drug dealers and gangs and people just like Ali G, stoners and everything. So, yeah, they were pretty pissed about it. Probably not as pissed as Sacha was during this movie, because this was the infamous movie where his trailer got robbed during production.
Okay.
So they stole loads of his stuff. They left hardly anything. So that's the Staines massive.
Yeah.
They don't like misrepresentation. They're going to come in, we're going to steal all of you. So that means someone in Staines is actually walking around now in full Ali G attire.
Well, it's kind of obvious, really, that Staines got really upset and had to rename themselves. Grimsby haven't said a word, really, have they?
No, not so far.
No, not much.
You have Rona Mitra in there, who was the first live-action Lara Croft. I'm sure you'd know that.
Yep.
What was that for? Was that for promotional campaigns for the games?
Yeah, it's all kind of promotional, and you go to like conventions and official appearances, and it was all officially endorsed by Square Enix and Eidos and all the whichever company it was that was running the Tomb Raider franchise at the time.
Right. Okay. Neil McAndrew also was one of the most famous Lara Crofts as well. And they're much more pretty on the eye than seeing Charles dance in drag.
Yes. There's lots of things that I want to see Charles dance doing. Wearing women's clothing isn't one of them. He hasn't got the legs for it, let's put it that way.
Full commitment to Charles dance is like, you know what, I'm an actor, this is what I do. And it's like, I can imagine how many people may have actually turned that role down.
Yes. Fair play to him, he does steer into the skid.
Yeah. He must have an amazing sense of humour, because it's quite something to behold when you see it, trust me. But yes, Ali G was forever catapulted on us, and then he got his American show off the success of this movie, which was Ali G in the USI.
Right.
And the Ali G show following that. And then he retired the character, which was probably a very smart move, because otherwise you just become that character for life, know, and then it became Borat, and he's got a lot of work with Borat, just recently with Rudy Giuliani, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And, and then it was Bruno. And then, he's tried to branch out with The Dictator and The Brothers Grimsby to little more success.
To be fair, I do actually think The Brothers Grimsby is hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's
really
mainly for Mark Strong who makes it more funny because he is such a
So straight.
such a straight actor,
Yeah.
but just to see him.
I'm just thinking, oh look, it's just the poison scene.
Yes, that's the exact scene that just popped up in my head. It gets
That
me
and the
every
elephants.
single time.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I think it's just absolutely genius.
Oh, it is. It's funny
For
as hell.
him. I saw him on Alan Carr has like a panel show. Let's talk about movies, and when he was on that, he was so hilarious. You can tell exactly what kind of person he is, but you can see he's game for a laugh. And the only person that really outshone him on that show was Sean Bean doing Hannibal Lecter when they have to recreate famous movie scenes. And Sean was giving it his all. If you can ever find that footage, it is hilarious.
And you're the Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Census taker wants to try to test me.
But yes, Ali G in the house. 20 years old this week.
Wow, time certainly flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're so old.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, they're your anniversaries this week. And now I guess we've kind of got to go back in time to when we were in the same room.
For the very first time.
For the very first time.
Yes. So, for now, get some popcorn, get your nice favourite comfy chair, fire up your favourite viewing device, and join us as we watch Deep Rising. So, okay, everybody, so this is the second of our watch-along movies, following on from our successfully indifferent Street Fighter watch-along from last year. This time around, we're going to be doing Deep Rising, which is a favourite of Andy's.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say favourite. I think it's just a movie that has happened to be name-dropped in every single episode at some point. And this is actually a first because we are actually in the same room, which is why you may hear a little bit of echo in the room.
Yes.
But we are socially distanced still. We were socially distanced before social distancing was a thing.
Well, we don't really need to bother with social distancing anymore, though, do we?
Nah, who cares?
No. So, okay, if you want to queue up the movie to watch it along with us...
On Disney Plus, by the way.
Yeah, actually, yes. We're watching this currently on Disney Plus. Then you need to make sure that you're going off the same timestamp that we are. Now, there may be a slight difference for regional variations on the movie. Some regions still might have certain scenes which may be cut out, or the runtime may be altered by the way that the TV system works in certain countries. This we've got no control over. So if the audio that you're listening to here does tend to drift, then the best thing that we can do is just say to just pause it and then deal with it, yeah. Or just pause it and then try and see if you can sync it back up. So what you need to do is you need to go to the 13-second mark and then start the... So it's just before the text appears on the screen. And when we're ready to go, you will hear this noise. When you hear that noise, you can press play on this audio. And then it should match up. So go to the start where all the text comes on, pause it, start the audio, and then you're good to go.
For more clarification, that is after the Hollywood Pictures logo has disappeared.
Yes.
Unless it's in another country where it's a different distributor.
Yes.
Just to really confuse you even more. But anyway, it should say far below the South China Sea lies an underwater mountain range. And that's where we are. Welcome, you've caught up with us. We're seriously going to do this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
too late to go back now.
Here's that noise.
Okay, well, Deep Rising. Kind of a puzzling movie, really. And looking back over some research, and I did actually watch it again a couple of days ago for the first time in a long time, and was, I wouldn't say surprised. The only thing I was surprised at is how old this movie got really quick.
Yeah, because this predates The Mummy, doesn't it?
Yes.
This was Stephen Sommers' movie just before he did The Mummy, so...
Yes, and heavily edited for TV. I hope you're not watching that version at home because it's like half an hour is missing from the movie to allow for commercials. So obviously pretty good for Stephen Summers' pocketbook, but I'm guessing he wouldn't be happy with it.
No, I think I watched it on Sky TV in the UK for the first time that it was on. It was on like Sky Movies or something. I actually remember I was babysitting for my uncle. For my cousins now, both of whom are grown up and they've got kids of their own. And yeah, that makes me feel old. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I think I saw it on rental. Because this film did get kind of assassinated by Titanic, which we will get into in a little bit. But here we go. Deep Rising. This is, I guess this film might be guilty for all of those sci-fi channel movies that have come ever since.
Do you think this was kind of like the genesis of...
No, yeah.
Because you could probably trace the genesis further back to things like The Abyss, though, can't you?
Well, The Abyss isn't really a monster movie.
I know, but
this is some kaiju shit in this movie. And we got Treat Williams, who obviously taking the role that they really wanted Harrison Ford to take.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford was actually considered for the role of Finnegan that Treat Williams was in. But he turned it down, and as soon as he turned it down, the budget was massively decreased to probably about a quarter of what they estimated it was going to be. So, very old version of Solitaire that he plays. That's your way to introduce your hero, really, isn't it? He's
as a gambler and... Oh, there he is, Kevin J. O'Connor.
Joey Pantucci. Who's been in every Stephen Summers film since and annoying in every single one of them.
I think he's probably doing that on purpose, though. Although I think he was probably the worst in Van Helsing, because those teeth that he had in that, they did not help him at all.
Did he play Igor in that movie?
Yeah, he played Igor, yeah.
Yeah, Igor.
Let's call the whole thing off. But yeah, most people know him as Benny in... wait, we've just had the appearance of Sagat.
It's Wes Studi. Does he appear in every movie we do a watch along with?
Oh, I don't know.
And then we get Charlie Murphy. So we have the token black character. We have the Native American character. And I've always joked that this movie is the movie to get the most tax credits in the world.
Yeah.
By having a crew comprised of every single nationality you can think of.
Let's just run through them, because we've got the white lead, we've got the African American, we've got the
Murphy, by the way, Eddie Murphy. You obviously have the Asian woman.
Yep.
You have the Native American. He's not playing a Thai kickboxer this time.
You've got Famke Janssen, is she Swedish, Norwegian, Danish?
Good question. I thought she might have been Danish, but I could be wrong. And then down below, you have the who's who of rent-a-villains that they grab from every kind of movie. It's actually quite impressive. But they spend like the first 20 minutes of this movie on basically just traveling to this huge ocean liner.
Mm-hmm. Which is a brilliantly bad special effects.
Yes. It's the start of the truly bad special effects in this movie.
It looks like a map painting until you kind of get... I mean, it's quite nice how they're able to go from the wide shot into the zoom and then go in. I mean, that's a cracking shot, but the actual effects that's on the wide does not live up, does it?
No. I can tell you something about this opening bit here. Is the first AD was responsible for directing all of the extras. Mm-hmm. And all of these extras actually believed that the first AD was the director, and they were quite shocked when it turned out Stephen Summers was the director. And the main reason being is because if Stephen Summers had directed any of those extras, they'd be classed as actors under SAG ruling, and they would have to be paid as actors, not extras.
Why? Because he's a member of the Directors Guild?
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, because I thought you only got classed as an actor if you actually had lines. Like actual
It's an interesting point.
dialogue.
It's something that he kind of briefly covered on his audio commentary. And here we have Famke Janssen, who replaced Claire Forlani after 3 days of shooting, after Claire Forlani walked off set after a clash with Stephen Summers. And imagine just being one of the extras on this scale of movie, because this is obviously a set.
Yeah, it's a quite an impressive set, though.
And here we have Anthony Heald, who's playing the slimy, greatest Nick Nolte-looking actor I think I have ever seen in my life. A lot of people would probably believe that he is Nick Nolte. He looks identical to it.
I think it's the chin and the hair. It's the combination of the two. But he always just, for me, he will always just be Dr. Chilton from the Hannibal Lecter movies, because he wasn't just in the one. Was he in Hannibal as well, or?
I know he's in Silence of the Lambs. He had a small...
He was in Red Dragon as well.
Role in Red Dragon, yeah. And he also had a staph infection in his foot, which is why you'll see him limping a lot throughout this movie.
This, for some reason, this reminds me of Ghost Ship. It's kind of like the way it is at the moment, with this wonderful kind of oriental theme, and it reminds me of a cross between Ghost Ship and the casino set from Rush Hour 2.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a hell of a... It's a hell of a set, isn't it? Well, you're looking at 3 layers.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of looks like they might have repurposed a mall or something to get the height. Or maybe it's got that kind of feel. Like it's just somewhere that already existed and they went in and redressed.
Yeah. Famke Janssen, by the way. I mean, this was just shortly after GoldenEye, maybe by a year, 2 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing this would have been shot in 96, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was originally supposed to be released in 97 and ended up getting released in 98. It ended up getting put back for reasons that I will cover in a little while.
Wouldn't have anything to do with James Cameron, would it?
It could be. Could be. But yeah, she was, I can't remember, on the top.
Xenia Zagevna on the top.
Yes, from GoldenEye.
Surprised I can still remember that.
Following this, she ends up with the role of Jean Grey. So this was kind of in between. So she would have been doing her roles in, I guess, the stuff with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn around that time. So she was still doing her independent stuff before X-Men kind of catapulted her even more. And right around now, we're kind of going back to the dreaded pirates.
The dreaded pirate Roberts.
And there's Aidan Callahan. We joke. It's Trevor Goddard who played Kano in Mortal Kombat.
Is that? Oh God,
And here we get the introduction to all of these people that you've seen. You've got Cliff Curtis, who is obviously the Kiwi.
Yeah.
One of the most famous ones. You've got Jimon Hansu.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a guy there, I'm not sure who he is. And then we've got Trevor Goddard, who's the Aussie, who is the greatest lookalike for Aidan Callahan on the planet.
Is he actually Australian? Because I thought he was British.
I think he might be British.
Yeah, because...
He did a lot of Australian. And we've got the British guy who is that Jason Fleming from the Lock, Stock and Snatch and the Guy Ritchie movies? That's the English guy. And then this random other white guy who looks like Skeet Ulrich, but is not Skeet Ulrich. But you could have put Skeet Ulrich in that role and no one would have known any different.
Good enough. I just needed someone that looks vaguely handsome with floppy hair.
The one thing I don't actually remember about this plot is the fact that they do have these nuclear like missiles or these like rockets on the ship. But their main aim is to go in and rob the casino on the ship. That's the main plot line. And then apparently they're going to sink it with rockets because and make it look like they were pirates.
Yeah.
Which is actually a well thought out plan for a really dumb action movie. By this point, I was kind of hoping that Joey Pantucci would get killed off. And apparently, in the original script, he did get killed off very early. But apparently, according to early test screenings, the cards came back that people actually did like the Joey Pantucci character. So they decided, okay, we're going to have some more scenes of him in and keep him alive at the end. So thanks for that, for all those people who went to see the movie.
Yeah.
You know, that opened the doors for this guy to be Dr. Mindbender in G.I. Joe.
Was it? Oh, jeez. It just goes to prove how long it's been since I've seen G.I. Joe that I couldn't even tell you if he was or if he wasn't. I'm just taking your word on that one.
He was. And it was a very poor version of Dr. Mindbender in kind of a flashback scene.
I can't get over how just Han Solo-y. He is the pound store Han Solo, isn't he?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was meant for Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford, I think, turned it down to do Air Force One, which...
Better choice.
It was a better choice, but that is another reason why Deep Rising has also failed, which I will get to. So, as I mentioned kind of earlier, Claire Forlani actually did 3 days of shooting on this movie before walking out in disagreement with the director, Stephen Sommers. Kind of a ballsy move on Claire Forlani. She wasn't exactly a name back then. I think she'd had a small appearance in The Rock for about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Sean Connery's daughter.
She was also in Mallrats.
Oh, yes. Yeah, she was in Mallrats. But Treat Williams actually says that this was one of the most fun experiences he's ever had. It was just pure, unadulterated fun.
To be honest, you kind of do get the feeling that with a movie like this, the kind of expectations that are placed on the actors are much lower.
Yes.
You know, if you're...
You're not going for the Oscar, are you?
No.
Come on.
If you are going to be doing something like Titanic, then you know full well that you are going to have to bring your A game, because you're going to be working with top-level directors. You're going to be having all this money that's been thrown at you, because it was an excessive amount of money that went to Titanic, and that you need to be on your A game throughout the entire thing. Whereas with this, you think, yeah, it's just a monster movie. Whatever. I'll just mess around. We'll see what comes with it.
Just the more I kind of look at this cast, the cast of pirates. I mean, some of them have gone on to major things, but I think if you really looked at it, I think only one person in that entire room went on to do anything with Marvel. You know how IMDb love to do that? Oh, this film has... all of these people have gone on to do Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And this and the other. It's the most annoying thing to read on IMDb when you're trying to fact check. It's like, oh, this movie has 4 actors who've been in Marvel. Who gives a shit?
You know what I always don't like about IMDb is that you get...
Bullshit.
Oh, such and such was screen tested for this movie. And you're like, well, they probably did. That's how screen tests work. You get people in to perform in a role, but to get people in for that role, you then have to test loads and loads of other people. Just because you're saying, oh, X actress or X actor came in to read for it, that doesn't mean anything. Just means that they came in to read for it.
A little bit of trivia in regards to this movie and Stephen Sommers' involvement with it. I mean, this script was banding around the studios for quite a while, and it was originally written as Tentacle.
Is it hentai by any chance?
Oh, look, there's the logo from... That looked like the logo from Legendary on the wall.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a bit.
Yeah.
But yes, what was I saying? Oh, yes. Way back when...
Sorry, before you do, I love the fact that he's got a little video of a woman saying, "Welcome to the captain." How many security systems do you know that have a little video of someone that has been pre-programmed with all the responses of the available people that can open it?
It's a wonderful world of sci-fi, right?
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yes. So this was banded around as a script called Tentacle, which is not. Well, I guess today it would be more of a hentai style script. You get the wrong audience for sure. But Stephen Summers was a huge fan of like King Kong and the Monster Island, Skull Island, kaiju style movies and things like that. And this was originally his first foray into doing that because throughout the 1990s, the rights for King Kong were going back and forth, and Hollywood Pictures did actually have the rights for a King Kong remake. Right. Apparently, I might get called wrong on that. And his plan with this, if you remember towards the end of the movie, he lands on kind of like a Monster Island style thing, and there's some kind of giant monster on there. Spoiler alert for people who are going to catch up with it a bit later on. But he really wanted to do the remake of King Kong, and he obviously went on to do The Mummy after this, so he was really wanting to kind of work into that monsterverse. But the project just ended up in development hell, and then the rights kind of reverted back to Universal, and then obviously Peter Jackson went... Peter Jackson?
Yes.
Yes. Sean Connery was in that movie too. Peter Jackson ended up getting the gig, and it was the right choice, because he did absolutely amazing with King Kong, despite what anyone says.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the movie, but when I was at Universal Studios in Hollywood, I did go on the tour. And they replaced the great big animatronic King Kong Lives.
I'd heard that.
King Kong with one where it's kind of like you're on a getting way off the subject of the film, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. You're in like the cars that drive around the lot, and you go into the shed basically, and you get told to put on these 3D glasses, and then you're basically in like a tunnel where it's being projected onto you. So you've effectively got 360 degrees worth of projected footage. And then these two dinosaurs come out, and then they start having a fight with Kong. So it's pretty effective the way that it works as well. And then you've obviously got the carriages are rocking, and so it's quite good fun.
It's amazing the amount of times I've been to Los Angeles. I've never actually done that tour. Maybe I just will get to do it at some point.
You should do. Yeah. You should do next time you're over there.
So obviously, if it's a big movie, we need to bring out the big guns. And you've got so much gun porn going on in these shots at the moment. You have close-ups, and just to make sure that how homoerotic the gun porn is, the very next shot is the cork popping off a bottle and loads of foam coming out.
Reminds me of Commando. Yes. That bit where he's getting himself set up. Okay, so we've got Famke Janssen in the brig. And now we've got a mysterious individual who is busy doing what? Interrupting communications?
Oh yes, he's shutting down all of the computers and all of the navigation things and switching them with the UB40 greatest hits.
Wait, I'm more of a tech head than you are, but who in the right mind has vertical loading disk drives like that? I've no idea. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I love the way that Hollywood does tech, particularly in the 90s, because 90s tech looked nothing like anything that existed in the real world at that time. It didn't look like anything which existed in the real world for about 10 years after that.
It does severely date it. And to be honest, I've never seen screens do that either.
No. No, they don't flash, they just freeze.
Yeah, there's a huge bit of inconsistency here. Because it's revealed, it's not spoilers, it's going to happen. Obviously, the Nick Nolte lookalike, Anthony Heald, is the person who shut down all of the computers and everything. But in the very next shot, he's in the control room when everything goes tits up. Mm. So it's played off like it's instantaneous that it happens, but there's like no way that it can can go that fast.
It's kind of weird as well because in the previous shot it looks like more of a feminine form that's doing it. Because it looked like it was quite thin arms and more of a blouse instead of a shirt.
Maybe it's Claire Fellaini production up on the way out.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, so far you have not had any major effects, which is impressive considering what we're now probably 15 minutes into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie took over a year in post-production due to the special effects. So you know it's going to kick off at some point. The only problem is you're going to see the special effects soon enough and think Sci-Fi Channel could do it in a week.
Yeah, well, these were the... When did this movie actually come out? In 98, right?
Yes.
So...
It would have spent...
Yeah, what was the budget on this?
Nowhere near what it should have been. And I think the amount of stunt people currently throwing themselves around that room at the moment, I'm guessing, pay attention to that boat that has just dropped off there. That's going to play a bit of plot. Because nothing is as obvious
like Bob
as
Monkhouse.
that. So yes, we have all of these... I'm guessing a majority of these people are stunt people.
Yeah, they will be. They will be, even for just like that little fall that woman did then.
Here is my favourite character of the entire movie. Your job is to run into a bathroom, lock yourself in. And this was featured so prominently in the trailer. And it still makes me wonder how this is a reality. So basically we're thinking that a tentacle is coming up that toilet. True Ghoulies fashion. I want to know what it grabbed her by. So this is,
there's the first splat of the film.
That's the earliest tentacle porn I think we've ever had because it hasn't wrapped around a waist or anything.
They probably thought, well, okay, can we do this shot without the tentacle and minimise the amount of money that we're going to be spending on it? But now that I'm watching this, because you did watch this the other night.
Yes.
And I haven't watched this movie in quite some time.
Yes.
But in between
I'm sorry.
then and now, there was I rewatched The X-Files, and there is an episode of The X-Files where there's like this weird little tentacle monster. There's a great big storm in Florida, and there's this kind of tentacly monster thing which goes into the backwash and ends up in this apartment complex during the storm.
Oh, yeah. I saw that episode.
Yeah, it doesn't kind of kill people outright. It like turns them all salty and gooey inside, and then they just turn into salt and disappear.
The scene has just come on, right, where they have just like collided with the lifeboat that dropped off the ship. The pirate ship has now crashed into the lifeboat. With an explosion that has gone off.
And some very bad CGI fire on the
bad CGI fire. But the rate that lifeboat exploded, you would expect if it was carrying kerosene wrapped in dynamite, dipped in nitroglycerin. Right? It's destroyed this pirate. It was a little plastic lifeboat.
Yeah. You're expecting there to be some petrol in for the engine, but it's not going to be anything that's major.
But look, this is like total devastation. the whole boat's leaking. It's on fire. Jason Fleming's laughing. All of the rockets are absolutely fine. Well, there's a fantastic line that Jason Fleming delivers just to prove that he is an English Cockney. And seeing as though we actually do have subtitles on, even though we're not paying attention to them at all, it's going to be interesting to see if Disney Plus would actually put wankers.
They probably will do, because that word actually shows up in The Simpsons a number of times. And that is still on Disney Plus. That's all coming out on there. So
yeah, by this point, obviously to save on effects, this gigantic, we've got to call it a squid, right? It's a kaiju squid.
Yeah,
at the
it's,
end of the
it's
day.
a squid monstery
Yeah.
tentacle
Has
thing.
practically eaten the entire inhabitants of the cruise ship that now this merry band of pirates are heading towards. Some of them obviously internally. Sucked through toilets. Steve's actually getting into the movie.
I am getting into it, yeah.
You're supposed to be talking, arsehole. We're doing a talk along here. Now.
I'm sorry, I'm
Guess
getting
what we're watching a lot.
Yet again, I'm getting suckered in by the really, really bad 90s special effects.
And guns. Lots of guns.
Lots of guns.
That's a heavily modified gun, because I've never seen a gun like that before or since. So that's obviously some kind of gun that's gone through a reworking.
This is pretty much the setup to so many movies like this. It doesn't matter whether or not they're
Virus.
No, I don't even mean like Virus. Just kind of things like Aliens or anything like that. You arrive at a location, everybody's dead. You've got to find out what went wrong. People get picked off. One. Yeah.
And then you'll get
it's a formula.
3 people who survive.
Yeah.
Because having 2 people survive isn't right. You've got to have the odd wheel.
Yeah, because you need the romantic leads and the sidekick. The comedy sidekick.
The comedy, you can't kill the comedy relief unless his name's Hudson.
Game over, man. Can we watch that film instead?
No, because we'd actually get distracted that it is a good movie. It's weird that Aliens is the only movie of the Alien franchise on Disney Plus.
Where are the others?
They're not on it yet.
Wow, I wonder why. It must be rights.
They are listed as coming soon, though. So, Alien, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, and then those god-awful Alien vs. Predator films. And Alien Covenant. I guess if you class Prometheus as an Alien movie, that is on Disney Plus as well.
Oh, I barely class it as a movie. The only good thing that I could think to say about Prometheus when I left the theatre was, oh no, it looked nice. That was the only good thing that I could think of to say about Prometheus. It was just, it was a missed opportunity. It really was. I honestly thought when he lifted that up then, that was a mop. Don't ask me why. It just looked like it was dripping and it looked like a mop head.
This would be so much better if it's the story of an industrial cleaning crew that has come to wash the outside of this ship and end up getting eaten by giant squids.
Yeah, they're not actually guns. They're just high pressurized hoses.
Yes. Yeah, man,
That's got to be your next script, though.
Oh yeah, just a cleaning crew ended up encountering like giant aliens.
I want to see that. I don't want to see someone that's like relaxed with guns. I want to see like weirdness. Yeah. One thing that I will say is that the trends tend to follow along, don't they? Because if you look at the 80s, you had lots of big burly men doing action movies. Then following that, you ended up with the hostage situation kind of movie, following on from Die Hard. And then from the early 90s through to kind of like, I don't know, round about when this came out, you had this kind of formula of movie, didn't you? You had things like this and Virus and, you know, things like Carnosaur from Roger Corman. And there's lots of them which did follow the similar kind of pattern.
So I'm watching this scene of like the cast who are like marching through. And have you noticed, I've seen in a lot of movies, as soon as they've got a gun in their hand, their entire posture of like walking and everything just changes. Like they're going to trip over their own dick.
As an actor, I can always say that if you get a particular prop or you get a particular piece of costume, it can change the way that you approach things. Because I played, I was a wizard on stage once, and you know, as soon as I got the robes and the staff, that was it. Whole posture changed. I was doing this thing of like hooking my thumb into my pocket, was stomping the staff around the stage. It was great. Loved it. Oh, who's this coming up in the elevator?
Wait for it. He's got the incredibly typical line that was built for Harrison Ford. I got a really bad feeling about this. I wonder if that's the reason why Harrison Ford read the script, saw it and go, no.
Yeah, he was just like, to hell with us.
But in talking about Harrison Ford, I will mention Harrison Ford, I guess you could say, this movie over twice, right? One, because it was meant to be a Harrison Ford vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not a Ford vehicle, a Harrison Ford vehicle. And then he obviously turned it down, so all of their budget got massively reduced. Hugely reduced, right? So, and I think they ended up moving production to Vancouver. That's how you know. Yeah, it was supposed to be filmed in Los Angeles in their giant water tank there, and when the budget got slashed, they had to go to Vancouver. So obviously that is one. But also, this movie ended up getting pushed back majorly. So it was supposed to be released in 97. It ended up getting pushed back because of the visual effects. Okay? But Titanic literally smashed this out of the water. This was released a week after Titanic, right?
Yeah, you might as well have just released this straight on video then.
You couldn't have two polar opposite movies, all right?
No.
But it's two big boat disaster movies in a sense. But Titanic was not actually supposed to be released a week before this. What happened was Titanic ended up getting pushed back to the week before this because of Air Force One.
Oh, God! So, yeah, he did do him a nasty, didn't he?
Yes. Harrison Ford basically put a curse on this movie and then just hammered them.
What I do actually find funny, though, is that they changed it because of Air Force One. Now, it's a good film. I like that movie. But to just think, no, they moved Titanic for Air Force One. It's weird to think of in hindsight.
I don't think Titanic was more Touchstone, I believe. And
no, it's Fox.
Air Force One was Buena Vista, so that would have been Touchstone.
So that would have been Touchstone.
And Titanic was actually a joint venture between Paramount, Fox, and I'm sure another place as well. So while Fox distributed Titanic over here, it was actually mainly a Paramount production in the US. So Fox got the international rights on releasing it.
Oh,
and we never heard the end of it.
Okay, fair enough.
So poor Deep Rising here was really... It was a movie out of time. This should probably have been released prior to Titanic. I think if you'd put this on over a Halloween weekend, I think it would have had a much better...
Yeah, movies like this do well over holidays.
Yeah. Or if, the Valentine's weekend, that'd be a good one. Just chuck this movie out there as the alternative to... whatever was out, like My Best Friend's Wedding or whatever it was.
Or Definitely Maybe.
Definitely Maybe, even though that was like 10 years later.
One thing, just going back to another scene which just happened before, when the elevator came up.
Yeah.
Who was pressing the button to get the elevator to go up?
That's a good question.
Because it just... boom, boom, boom.
No one pressed it on the way in either.
Yeah. And no one was in it.
Oh, wouldn't it be fantastic if there was an extra shot there if someone's hand was just left there on the button?
Oh, yeah, like in The Lost World.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just that, to this day, just makes no sense, that. Just a yeah.
So, basically, we're about to have our first victim of the crew. They sacrificed the woman because there's also a woman alive on board, so they obviously didn't want two women.
No,
because this is 90s Hollywood.
No, you can have God knows how many men, but you can't have two women.
Yes, but they're all men of different nationality. It doesn't count.
Yeah, it's fine.
her accent is
what
not
is she
great.
doing there?
I don't know what she is trying to weld.
I don't know. She's how I want to. I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
this. Oh yeah, there we go. We've got the Jaws moment, and it even looks just like the head popping out of the boat in Jaws.
No, you know what it does look like, because I just have this kind of associative memory. I don't know why. I do that. Everything's like everything else.
I know what you're going to say. Go on.
It looks like the guy in Total Recall.
I was about to say, it is him. I'm unarmed. It does. It looks just like him.
Yeah, except with bulging eyes. He's got He's got Arnie's eyes from the end of the movie.
And then we don't see anything hook around her, but then boom, out.
Oh, all I can think of is if you were the stunt woman being pulled through there, you need to be really careful that you don't crack your head.
Realistically, that looked more like a dummy than anything else.
Yeah.
So I actually sent a picture of Trevor Goddard in this scene to Aidan Callahan the other day and said, I loved you in this movie, dude. He laughs about it every day because he really likes this film, and I keep saying to him, that is you.
It pretty much is, isn't it?
You've never seen Trevor Goddard, Aidan Callahan, and Colin Farrell in the same room. Because he has such a look of Colin Farrell as well.
He does, yeah.
And poor Trevor Goddard passed away not long after he did Pirates of the Caribbean 1.
Yeah, so what's that, about 2001? 2002? Something like that? Yeah. Yeah, I remember him because he only had like the one line in that movie. He was like going, what do you think we should eat first? Just so we're ready when the time comes.
He's from Yorkshire.
I've no idea where his accent was from there, but it was just like, yeah, whatever, yeah.
I always thought he had so much to offer.
Yeah.
Because when we all saw him as Kano in Mortal Kombat...
That was brilliant.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. And this was 3 years later. And he'd done... I think he did a movie with Dolph Lundgren called Men of War. He played a character in that, and he did various little roles here and there. But, yeah, he had a really good presence about him.
Yeah.
Every time you see Joey Pantucci, I refuse to call him by his real name. I just call him as Joey Pantucci. But you can tell a lot of his stuff is ad-libbed.
Yeah, you just need to be careful, because at some point you are just going to call him Joey Pantoliano.
The role would have been better if it was...
Joey Pantoliano plays Joey Pantucci.
It's just easier.
Oh, that would have been great. So, okay, now we got the guy going down the dark corridor off alone.
Yes, this is obviously something that the director of Doom saw and thought, you know what, I kind of love the kind of atmosphere and look. And you got the Dutch angles as well, which is one of the most annoying things about movies ever. I call it the broken tripod leg.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Dutch angles simply because they were just way too overused in the two Schumacher Batman movies.
Oh, God, yeah. Or Battlefield Earth. And there's nothing good to say about Battlefield Earth. I was talking with Bill yesterday, and we ended up talking about Battlefield Earth
God, yeah.
for a little bit, because we were talking about franchise pictures and the terrible movies they kind of made. They were kind of the actors' dream projects, and Battlefield Earth was one of them. And that movie there is no straight angle in that movie.
No.
It is comprised solely of Dutch angles. And you come out of the cinemas watching that and you've got whiplash. Or you've got muscles on one side of your neck that you didn't have on the other.
Yeah, you can imagine just bumping into someone and they're there with the head over to one side and going, what's up with you? Oh, I watched Battlefield Earth last night.
I would notice that the first couple of deaths are so quick in this movie, you don't actually see them happen. If anything, you just see the quick whip of the character and then maybe a little splurt of blood. Right? You don't actually see anything, and it's following that old horror trope of
Less is more.
less is more.
Less is more.
Yeah,
Leaves
or
it
they
to
were
your
seriously
imagination.
trying to save on effects.
Yeah.
Because you've not really seen any major effects for the first, what must be half an hour into the movie now. So all you've seen is little farting in the water. And that's what's going to take out our Trev. Just taken out by fart bubbles. So at this moment, you still have no idea that it's a giant squid. You think it could be something like these mutated eels. I don't get how this happens.
A blood is that supposed to be his blood, or is that just just a random?
It's supposed to be his blood, but he was like 3 hallways away. How did that blood suddenly end up above their heads on the pipework?
I have no idea. I think it was supposed to be in the pipe.
Yeah, but it's shown splitting up from below.
But then again, where's his gun come
Exactly.
What the hell?
There's some. I love the fact that someone has just put like a light behind that wall there to come out as well. That has no reason to be there in that shot other than to just make it look really eye.
Oh, the lady's back.
She obviously recorded that video message before she got sucked down at the toilet.
Oh, speaking of Doom earlier, I actually quite like the Carl Urban Doom. That is one of my guilty pleasures.
It's not a great movie, but you don't turn it off.
Oh no, it's fun. I haven't watched Annihilation. Is it Annihilation?
I've not watched it either. I do know the director of it. He's on Facebook. I have seen him post about it. I can't comment because I have not seen it. I've seen some people who've said they did enjoy it though. Oh, this is great. This is the one person who gets killed by an axe through the head.
Oh!
And he obviously left the set that day to go and start in Amistad with Steven Spielberg.
Okay, it's like, yeah, can you kill me off? I've got a chance to be in a good movie.
I reckon during this point, Charlie Murphy was like, can I be next? There's got to be another Friday movie coming up. And there was. He went and started next Friday after this as Pinky.
Gotta go hang out with Rick James.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Wes Studi after this. Cliff Curtis, obviously, he went on to do much better things. He starred in what was the movie with Johnny Depp where he played George Jung? Blow.
Right.
So I believe he was in there. But he was kind of unknown. Oh, no, there you go, he's dead. So already we're killing off a majority of the characters.
Yeah, he's been bashed into stuff and there's blood flying everywhere. He's still quite happily alive, though.
No,
he's not. No. Yeah, you might want to get out of the water, lads. Just saying. You might want to get out of the water.
Treat Williams, I mean, he was a major star in the 80s. He did some really great movies. Obviously, he was in Once Upon a Time in America. He was in Spielberg's 1941. And
I don't think I've seen anything that he was in.
After this, he kind of took over Tom Berenger's role in the Substitute movies and never left. And the sad thing about Treat Williams is the last thing I saw him in was I think it was called Age of Dinosaurs.
Oh god, that sounds like it's going to be
Sci-Fi Channel movie. And I was
Yeah.
like, Treat, what are you doing? That's interesting. I never picked up on this until now. Now, the creature effects in this movie were done by Rob Bottin. And we've just seen a scene there where they've been chased down a hallway with all of the gratings popping up in the ground after him, which is a major throwback to The Thing.
Yes.
Where the exact same thing happened. I'd never picked up on that until I actually saw it. I noticed that the first half hour on this ship consists mainly of looking up at ceiling panels and pipes. That's what constitutes as suspense nowadays.
And here we go. Now we've got the two leads introduced to each other.
Famke Janssen's just knocked out Joey Pantucci with a stiletto, which is the highlight of the movie so far for me. But unfortunately, he's still alive. Thank you, test audiences.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, because does he survive in any Stephen Sommers film?
I know he dies in The Mummy. He dies in G.I. Joe. Did he die in Van
He
Helsing?
died in Van Helsing as well.
What else did Stephen Sommers do? Did he do The Scorpion?
No,
that was Chuck Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I suddenly... Oh, that's mainly because of The Mummy. I guess he did The Mummy Returns, but I don't think he returned in that.
No, he didn't. No, because he got kind of eaten by scarabs.
Yeah.
In The Mummy.
So we've already kind of lost a sizable portion of this pirate crew, and we're left with, I guess, the Cockney, Charlie Murphy, Wes Studi, and any more, or have we lost all the others? I guess we've kind of lost the guy outside as well.
Yeah, because we lost the woman on the boat, probably the guy who was also on the boat.
Yeah. And the other characters we've kind of got left now are Nick Nolte lookalike and a guy that looks like Jimmy Hill in the 70s. He does. It's like the third Chuckle brother. It is possibly one of the worst jokes in the entire movie as well.
Funnily enough, he looks like Christopher Plummer. He looks like not Christopher Plummer. What? No. What's his name? He was in Titanic.
David Warner.
David Warner.
Yeah, he does look like David Warner.
He does. He looks like David Warner if David Warner was massively hungover. Like if he'd gone on a proper all-night meth bender. and decided to just have a moustache.
Do you sometimes look at the cast of a movie and think they went as close as the dream casting as they could have got?
Yeah, like they just thought,
let's get people who could pass off as these people. Because I guarantee you...
Wait, hold on. Is her name Trillian?
Yes.
Oh my god. How? What? That's not a name. That's a count.
It's also a kind of... I guess it's kind of a homage to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, really.
Yeah, maybe.
Is my knowledge.
How on earth have they survived that elevator crashing?
Purely for prop device.
Oh, and there we got the first corpse.
No, we're in the corridor of death and blood and skeletons, and this is the... What are these things? Well, they're obviously skeletons, obviously.
They're bodies. Oh, come on. You're in a corridor full of corpses.
Yes.
That are obviously melted.
I love the fact that...
And
this is one of the scenes here where he just suddenly kicks the gun up and he catches it is one of the greatest macho posturing moments. Wait for it.
oh, you can all, he's narrowing his eyes, he's getting ready.
Yes.
Yeah. The tinfoil set. Yeah.
The kick up of the gun. A proper Sagat kick there. I mean, up to
He kind of doesn't look right without an eye patch on, does he?
No, he doesn't really. But when you kind of look at the casting here, you can kind of see, obviously, Treat Williams is playing Harrison Ford.
Mm.
Right. There is...
Oh,
I love the fact that a lot of these skeletons have just like... They must have
Died in
died
position.
in shock and have died in position. And it's like...
they've still got their eyeballs.
Yeah.
Does a creature not like to eat eyeballs?
I guess not. So, yeah, in talking about the casting, I can guarantee here they wanted Eddie Murphy, but they've got Charlie Murphy.
Yeah. They wanted Harrison Ford, so they got Treat Williams.
Yeah.
They wanted David Warner, but they couldn't get David Warner because he was too busy doing Titanic.
I guess Wes Studi is a good casting choice, though.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at, okay, what were these people kind of doing before? We know what they went and did afterwards to varying degrees of success. And now we've got Skeet Ulrich. Skeet Ulrich light. I have no idea. I've never seen this guy in anything else. You know what that means? I've got to actually look who this guy was.
Yeah, because I don't think I've seen him in anything else either. Chick with the muscles. Come on, there's nowhere to hide. I like how the fact that he's got his gun out, but he's got his cigarette in with the fingers that should be on the trigger. That makes no sense.
Okay, let's have a look who this mystery guy is. Because I knew all the other actors' names. Oh, you know what? We're so wrong. It's not even Charlie Murphy.
It's not Charlie Murphy.
No, it's Clifton Powell. We apologise to the memory of Charlie Murphy, but he did actually. Clifton Powell did play Pinky in Next Friday. I've actually gotten those two confused. Carry on talking anyway.
Okay.
I'm already looking for this other person who doesn't seem to be in the credits. Oh, there he is.
Have you found him?
I have found him. He's an actor by the name of Clint Curtis, which is funny because we also have Cliff Curtis in this movie.
Mm.
And no, they're not related, but he's not acted in a hell of a lot of major things that you would know. The only other thing, he went on to play the creepy morgue guy in Blade.
Oh, God, do you want to know something? It's been so long since I've seen Blade. I couldn't even tell you if he was in that or not.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he was.
Actually, in just thinking about it, I was talking about obviously getting pushed back for release. The other reason that this movie did get pushed back by release, because Hollywood Pictures, behind the movie, were a subsidiary of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist anymore. Touchstone, I think Touchstone doesn't exist in the same fashion as it used to.
No, it doesn't, does it? What did Disney even release stuff through now? They're probably going to be releasing stuff through Fox, aren't they?
Yeah, I think now it'd be. It's called
Fox Studios, or
I don't think it's called Fox Studios anymore either. 20th Century Films, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Deep Rising was also pushed back due to Con Air, because they saw more potential in Con Air being the big summer movie. So this got pushed back as a result of that. So there were many factors that have affected the success of Deep Rising, other than how bad the movie actually is.
Hey, Benny.
I guarantee you this would have been the scene where Joey Pantucci buys it.
Yeah, I think so.
And then they changed it.
Yeah, because that's not too bad for the time. Oh, maybe it was there.
Yeah. Now, this, I will give, at the time, I thought this was one of the best effects ever, and it's the half-digested Billy scene.
I honestly thought you said the half-digested Billy Zane. I was going to say, when was he in this?
But I've got to admit, this effect was brilliant in the day.
Yeah.
And now it's a bit more fake-ish. But he's got half of his head is eaten and he's still alive. And it's the truly first bit of real horror in the movie. And then he just keels over and dies.
You've not seen Breaking Bad, have you? No. There's a very similar special effect in Breaking Bad. Obviously, you've got about 15, 20 years between the two... No, about 15 years between the two series. Between this film and Breaking Bad, so you've obviously got the chance to improve the visual effects, but yeah. It looks better in Breaking Bad, let's put it that way. So yeah, we finally got a first good proper glimpse of the creature.
And we have Joey Pantucci doing the comic stuff because he can't fire a gun, and then he's just firing it everywhere, which is always the trick used for a person who is absolutely freaking useless in a movie. Just in case anyone had any doubts that he was supposed to be the comic relief at this point. And just that shot of him doing that gun shooting in the hallway feels like an added-on shot after the movie was done.
Oh, that will have been a reshoot.
It'll be interesting to see here for all of Joey Pantucci's scenes, if a lot of them he is not with anyone.
Yeah.
Because then we will know that was the point where he was supposed to buy it. And here we get our first real look at the tentacle monster.
That's not that bad.
But there is a major gap in logic. I want you to take a look here. Right, that has obviously come around the side there.
Mm-hmm.
And making the major mistake of scratching a gun across the floor so it hears you.
So it hunts by sound.
Yes, it has a very Howard the Duck, loads of the Underverse style monster look about it.
Yeah.
Now look here, when it disappears. It goes down that hallway.
Oh yeah, it comes from... So yeah, it effectively comes from the left.
It enters stage left and exits stage right.
But it
a
looks
tentacle
like
would not do that.
But it looks like it's also then come in from stage right, where it comes out. Yeah, that Maw, it's very similar to the one that they used for the Watcher in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Yeah, because the way it kind of like comes out like a hand. It's very similar to its jaws. Because you knew full well that I have to squeeze in at least one reference to Lord of the Rings in at some point, didn't you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, now we get David Warner being sucked through a stairwell.
You know what he gets up to in his spare time, that's entirely up to him.
Well, he is from Salford.
Yeah.
David Warner, I mean.
We are going to get so many complaints about Salford, from Salford, I should say. Eat this, you wankers.
Eat this, you wankers. I love the fact that Americans still to this day do not know like wankers is an actual derogatory term.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So if you're listening to this and you're in the US, then yeah, it's not something that you call people that you like. Unless you have really... Actually, that is weird the way that things work, isn't it? Because you either hate someone and you throw swear words at them to insult them.
I'm just laughing at all the exposition that this character is now giving you as to what this creature is. It's like, how in the hell do you know so much about squids?
Yeah, how does he?
And it's like, who gives this shit? How do we kill him? And then he knows how to kill them as well. Look, he knows that they hide in burrows. They catch their victims with spiny tentacles, crush them between massive jaws. He knows a hell of a lot about squids for a guy who's so scared.
How does he know about them? What does he work for like nuclear power plant? Have they been dropping barrels down the Mariana Trench or something?
He knows absolutely everything. And obviously this was a case of we need to kind of explain what they are.
You don't really need to. You just say they're giant squid monsters. That's it. You don't need to say, oh yes, it's Oculus Otoya Motoratus, or whatever the hell their Latin name would be. You know, just say it's giant squid monster.
Yeah, I think we can gather it. We don't need filling in, but no one thought it was an alien or giant spiders or eels or anything like that. It was very obviously going to be a squid.
Mm. Well, because it's tentacle.
I saw it in the trailer.
It's not going to be a piranha or something, is it? Come on.
I have a feeling I would love to have seen the version of this movie that was shown to like the test audiences, and then they obviously had to put comments on cards, and then the executives were like, "Oh, well, we need to go back and make this clear and this clear." And this is why this movie has some of the worst ADR in history of doing ADR.
Which we're not getting at the moment, are we?
No, we're not getting, but it's so obvious. Right? There's a shot later on that I will point out when it comes up to it that didn't even need to be ADR'd in. It was obvious. So yes, now we're getting more of the going down creepy corridors.
Yeah.
And this was also one of the movies, strangely, that has kind of donated a lot of shots and a lot of footage into really cheap direct-to-DVD movies that obviously need loads of footage. So they end up taking shots from this movie. Numerous ones. There was a movie called... I'm going to get it wrong. But there was a shark movie just like this.
Deep sharking.
Deep sharking. That ended up taking loads of shots and footage from this movie. And it's a practice. It's a practice that happens for really cheap movies. They'll just, buy loads of footage from studio movies like this. Like Stealth Fighter did. There's a movie called Stealth Fighter that stole loads of footage from movies like Top Gun, and Flight of the Intruder did it as well.
Well, I hesitate to mention someone else on YouTube, but I did watch an episode of Best of the Worst.
Right.
And they were reviewing a movie, can't remember what it was called, a Space Mutiny or something like that. And
Sounds a winner.
Oh, it was. But they had ripped off the visual effects wholesale from the Battlestar Galactica TV series. Just the ships, all the exterior shots, the sound effects, the visual effects.
I've seen that happen before.
It's blatant. Go on, give her a gun. Go on, let's not have sexism in the violence. Women are more than capable of killing stuff just like men are.
I can't believe all of this time I genuinely believed that Charlie Murphy was in this movie. And the fact that I think it was someone who told me that Charlie Murphy was Pinky in Next Friday, and that's why it's probably always resonated as Charlie Murphy.
I've just thought of a plot hole,
Is it in this?
Yes.
More than one?
More than one, yeah. Are you familiar with deep sea creatures?
Which ones?
Just kind of like any kind of fish or any kind of sea-dwelling creature that lives at a great depth.
I wouldn't say that I am Aquaman, but I know a certain amount.
No, but but what tends to happen is if you've got creatures that live down at very, very low depths,
yeah,
then they're used to having just tons and tons and tons of water pressure pressing down on them. We need to go down in submersible vehicles that are all pressure equalized and everything, because otherwise we would just get crushed under the sheer weight of this thing.
Yeah.
But conversely, if scientists and everything want to study these creatures, they have to be really, really careful bringing them up to the surface, because the inverse will happen and you end up with creatures just effectively exploding.
Right, yeah.
Because all the inside pressure is just going and forcing its way outwards. Shouldn't that be happening with this tentacle thing if that's come from the bottom of the friggin' ocean? If that's come from, like, it just said in the opening, there's caverns that are on the ocean floor which go down about as high as Everest or the Himalayas. If you're going down that kind of depth, then we're going to be talking some serious water pressure down there. So this huge tentacle monster, one, shouldn't be this big, and two, shouldn't be surviving this close to the surface.
Yeah, okay. No, that's a good point. We'll have to wait and see if Nick Nolte tells us the reasons why, because he's obviously the fucking expert.
Oh, yeah, he is. Go on, swim, Nick Nolte.
I love the fact that right around the exact same time as this, the crew from Alien Resurrection were doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I actually think this is the better movie out of the two.
I'm not a fan of Alien Resurrection at all. I went
I'm
to
not.
see that, and as soon as that, like, half alien, half humanoid baby,
Yeah.
it's done at the end, I was like, yeah, this franchise has lost me completely.
It was better in the original script.
Yeah.
Yeah. Made more sense in that one.
Oh, these effects didn't hold up very well. No, they are pretty bad now.
Although a lot of the visual effects that you get, particularly in cheaper movies now, they tend to use digital plugins.
Oh, right, okay.
You know, you get they use them in things like the Expendables. So instead of having squibs, they use digital.
Yeah, you just have the red
Yeah,
burst, the powder burst, as I call it.
yeah.
It just
But
looks like a powder burst.
it's all the same. It's all the same digital effect. Yeah.
Oh, there's the unfortunate bit where Pinky is going to go.
Yep.
So we've now lost pretty much 90% of the pirate crew, apart from Jason Fleming and Wes Studi.
The ethnic diversity of this cast is slowly shrinking.
Yes.
It really is.
The money must be drying up from those ethnic groups.
Just briefly going back to Aliens. Alien 3, yes or no?
Ask me next week.
Okay. I personally really like it.
Oh, that was a terrible underwater explosion shot.
It was.
That might be the worst effect I think I've seen in the entire movie so far. I reckon they could have just excised that completely and just had
Come on, Benny.
an underwater fart. Why is it?
Not
I've seen
Mason. No, not Mason. God damn, no. No, we were in love. Oh, God, no, not Mason. Ah.
So obviously this is... there's things that always get me about these movies. One, whenever they have to do the escape bit, they always have to escape through the kitchen or pantry. In every single one of these movies that happens.
Someone's
And
gonna
always
pick up
the female, when she's
something
going
in.
swimming, is wearing a white vest top.
Yeah.
But Famke was too smart. She's like, no, I'm going to wear something under this. You're not getting me this way.
Actually, have you noticed in all these movies, it usually ends up with the female lead in a vest? I think Ripley probably started that trend off.
Yeah, quite possibly. I've also noticed that Famke Janssen seems to be eating whenever she can in this movie. If you'll notice in this movie,
Brad Pitt.
she is doing a full-on Brad Pitt Ocean's 11. Look, she's she's actually eating. She was eating in the storeroom before. She was eating gum before, and now she's eating something in the kitchen area while Jason Fleming is losing his shit and about to die.
Yeah.
I always things about this is when that one character in the crew just has a total meltdown, and then he'll calm down and he'll die
Immediately
within the
after.
next 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's a Hudson moment, basically.
Yeah, it's the Hudson moment. But at least Hudson went out like a hero.
Yeah.
Is Jason Fleming gonna go out as a hero? He's got the big gun. Oh, now Treat Williams is giving us his little story of how an octopus can get into and outside of a bottle, which is obviously going to come into play very shortly.
Thing is, though, he's actually right. Octopuses are very, very smart, and a lot of them do. They get bored in aquariums. So you find that a lot of other people that run aquariums, I don't know, there's the fish wranglers, I don't know what they're bloody called, the veterinarians, whatever they're called. They spend a lot of time trying to devise little puzzles for them so that they've got something to actually do.
Right.
You know, they will put like something in like little mazes or in bottles, or they'll put the bottles inside a maze or something like that, and then they have to Oh, there's an ominous shadow behind him. What? What are you looking at? What do you think they're looking at?
Is it a wanker? Oh yeah, he's doing the full Hudson. He's going for it.
Yep. I love that he just stood there like, what are you looking at? There's monsters that are after you. What do you think?
I've got to admit, he's doing well on his...
Yeah.
Oh, now he's out of bullets. He's got to be.
Yeah, your little minigun pistol thing is out of ammunition.
He's out of ammunition.
Yes. That gas fire was probably the only thing that was saving your life, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks so pleased with himself, doesn't he?
Oh, my God. That now tops the worst effect that I've ever seen of someone getting swallowed by a tentacle.
It does need, like, Cookie Monster on top of it going...
I'm kind of curious about the lighting on this movie because you get loads of these protruding lights from the top
Yeah.
when they're supposed to be deeply into the ship. So it's not daylight, but it's playing off as if it's daylight.
So, now all this stuff's happening. They're all being locked in. So it's basically this... Is it one creature or is it many?
It's one, but seems to have this never-ending supply of tentacles.
Yeah.
Because the amount of tentacles you've seen shot, but there's still plenty more. I mean, how many tentacles realistically does a giant squid have?
I did actually read something today saying that they found... No, it was yesterday, actually. Funnily enough, yesterday. They found a 10-tentacled squid, and they're planning on naming it after Joe Biden.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's 8. I think it's usually 8 tentacles. I think it's the same as an octopus.
So what have we got? Have we got a crew of 5 people left now?
Yeah. So we've got the lady. We've got Dr. Chilton.
Nick Nolte, for those listening.
Yep.
We have Treat Williams, we have Wes Studi, and we have Joey Pantucci. It's just something really cruel, this movie, because it teases that Joey has actually been killed. And I thought, this movie has just gone up an extra star on my rating.
Well, he's currently there at the back, so wonder if that was included in the reshoots or what.
I'm dying to know exactly what makeup brand Famke Janssen is wearing, considering she is being soaked and gone underwater and all sorts. She looks strikingly beautiful still.
Well, maybe she's born with it.
Maybe. Now we're at a scene where we're seeing what has happened to practically every single person on the ship. And they've all been digested. There's just thousands of skeletons and bloody remains and guts all hanging around the place.
This is basically the squid monster's toilet.
Yes.
Because it's eaten them all, and then he's pooped out the skeletons.
And he's doing some intense groaning, so
Yeah.
I'm guessing more are passing through.
Jason Fleming's probably not agreeing with him.
Squid's there like, oh, party of 5 on his way in.
Oh dear! Oh! 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 I knew I shouldn't have had that English. Oh! Oh dear!
That's what happens when the first thing you eat is a Chinese. That's all I can say. So yes, now we're getting the scene where all the water is basically starting to billow through all the hallways, practically ripping off the abyss.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they're going to have a shutting door scene very shortly.
Yeah. Now.
Here we go.
Yep,
Nick
there we go.
Nolte is locking them in.
So now we've got the Carter Burke death scene, because you're not telling me that he's going to survive being trapped in there at all.
No. And then down another hallway, which, funnily enough, is not flowing water. It just has a level amount of water on the floor. You have Joey Pantucci and Wes Studi and I guess something is swimming up behind them.
Grenades. Okay, so now.
So Joey has just thrown a grenade without actually timing the explosive on it or pulling the pin, whatever. Oh, gosh. These effects don't age well.
I don't know. I don't think they're that bad. Not really. I mean, they're not brilliant, and I've seen far better, but...
In the day, they were amazing.
Yeah. They're not that bad.
Oh, there's the important plot point where we were wondering what was going on. They're looking for engine parts for the boat after it crashed into the little life raft that was wrapped in explosives.
Yes. The one that went up like a bonfire on the 4th of July.
Now, Wes Studi becomes my favourite actor on the planet for shooting Joey Pantucci in the leg in order to get away. But unfortunately, Joey survives.
In that case, I must be misremembering this then.
So he basically puts himself in a dumbwaiter.
Okay, now that particular shot does not hold up well.
No. Here it is. You ready for this? The worst piece of ADR. So, oh my god, it's going to sink. It's going to sink. So Nick Nolte is really happy. And then, an island!
An Ireland!
As it shows, an island. That is obviously a big piece of ADR, just in case you wondered what it was. And there was no fooling that it was an island.
That heap of junk is your boat. Oh my god, they were leaning into the Harrison Ford reference, weren't they?
Yeah. I'm guessing Stephen Summers was a huge Star Wars fan.
Well, there's not many people that aren't, really.
No, I think Star Wars is one of the most stolen from movies of all time. The original Star Wars, obviously.
Although, after you made me watch 2001, I think I can see where a lot of that stuff came from.
Yeah, well, 2001 was just inspirational for many. And here's Joey. He's alive.
Your fun ship.
The Argonautica. That's the name of the actual ship.
Well, so okay, you've got the Argonauts from Jason and the Argonauts. You know his compatriots and so on. The Argonautica.
So here we have the scene that is killing off the last pirate of the bunch, which is Wes Studi, who is here getting eaten over a craps table by a giant tentacle. And apparently, from listening to the audio commentary, it was an extremely painful day for Wes Studi.
It looks like it was. It doesn't look like he's been eaten.
No.
Let's put it that way. Not with that expression on his face.
So yeah, I like that. That's actually a really good effect shot. Really.
Yeah.
That holds up pretty well.
What gets me though is in all the other kills, they've tended to grab the victim and then just drag him in. Whereas this time around, this thing is just taking its time. It's nibbling at him. He's doing what I do with like a cracker, just nibbling. Don't say I never gave you nothing.
The poetic thing. Uses his last bullet and misses Joey Pantucci.
Oh no.
And then he cannot now shoot himself to save himself from being devoured.
I guess you didn't see that coming, did you? Oh, and there we go. Now we've got the final. There's where it sped up and just pulled him in.
Yeah. And now it just becomes a race to escape the ship. Well, realistically, where their plan is, I guess at this moment, they haven't got the engine parts anymore because they lost the backpack during the flooding. So now we're left with the final four characters, which is Nick Nolte, who's turned into a bit of a Judas, and he's basically trying to escape the other lot. You've got Famke Janssen.
Like I say, he's Carter Burke at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, I suppose that's fair enough. So Treat Williams has the idea that we're finally going to use this gigantic rocket that is on his boat.
Oh, which is armed.
Oh,
lovely.
Luckily. Yeah, I did actually wonder earlier why Jason Fleming, why they were all still on the boats, decided to arm the rocket.
I have no idea.
Because realistically, that should have been something that they would do after their robbery.
Yeah.
But obviously
you do the robbery and then you get away. Yeah, you don't just...
That was my dog, by the way.
Yeah.
Because there's some arsehole outside. You're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's just an added sound effect.
Yes. You get all these additional sound effects for free.
And it's mainly because I've got neighbours that are f***ing monsters.
Leela? Sorry, who's Leela?
Oh, Leela was
Joey
Joey Pantucci's girlfriend, who was the first person killed. We've already forgotten about.
Yeah. Okay. It was gonna right. So you've got someone that looks like Han Solo, and you've got another character called Leela, which sounds very much like Leia.
So does this mean that Joey Pantucci is actually the Chewbacca of this story?
I would say yes.
Right. So you've got the Princess Leia.
Yeah.
In Famke Janssen.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a whole riff on Star Wars. This is basically more Solo, I guess.
Yeah, this is what Star Wars would be like if there was a great big squid monster aboard the Death Star.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So right now we're doing the whole scene of arming this giant missile that is designed to blow up the ocean liner, the Argonautica.
So what is it? Parabolic trajectory.
Yeah. So it's really just loads of close-up shots that seem to just go nowhere, really. I guess they filmed the scene of Treat Williams and Joey Pantucci, and then decided, no, we need some kind of cutaway shots of, having no fuel.
Film dials. Film lots of dials.
Yeah, film lots of dials, films loads of little clicky button type things, just to show that this thing is completely dead in the water.
Okay, they've gone back to the same panel 3 times.
That is quite lazy.
Yeah.
So now that they're planning on leaving the ship, whilst Famke Janssen is... I forgot what Famke Janssen's actually supposed to be doing at this point in the movie.
Well, so Famke Janssen was on board as a...
Now I remember. They were getting a jet ski.
Yeah.
In order to escape while they put the main boat into the big boat and blow it up. So they were going to get the jet skis and go over to the island.
I would.
Yeah, I suppose so. And now we've got Nick Nolte, who's really struggling with that staph infection. You can see he is genuinely struggling to walk.
Yeah, he does. It looks...
He's been in so much agony.
Unfortunately, it's towards the end of the movie. You can just chalk it up to some kind of injury.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's now dragging out. Because realistically, I think the movie should have been ending right about now.
Yeah, he should have been eaten in the toilet, and now it should be like... He didn't even go into a toilet. He just ducked into a room, which I assume was a toilet. Yeah, now we've got this is like the rescuing Newt bit.
Yeah, it is. This is basically Ellen Ripley going back in to save a little girl.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to say that it'd make Anthony Head would be the Carter Burke character, as you said.
Anthony Heald. Because Anthony Head was in Buffy.
I bet he gets that a lot.
He might do, actually.
I mean, come on, this is me. I always get names wrong of absolutely everything. That's my gimmick.
That's your thing.
Yes. Wait till I see Lena Headey.
Oh, yes.
Who, funnily enough, did a movie just like this called The Cave. That starred Rick Rossovich himself, Rick Ravenello. It's driving me crazy how much that he's choosing to still wear his glasses even though they cannot sit on his head straight.
Yeah, you've got one arm that's broken.
Yeah.
And speaking as someone who wears glasses on a regular basis, that has happened to me. If ever they've been broken or whatever, it's so annoying that you will just take them off.
I am actually kind of amazed that throughout the entire movie and all of the stuff that the character has been through, he has managed to retain his glasses and not break them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got some good varifocals.
I bet you went to Specsavers.
Now we have the classic shake the camera to make it look like the entire place is rocking, even though the actors are not reacting to the shaking that is going on, which means that was a decision done in post.
Yeah, you can tell, can't you? Because you do get people like J.J. Abrams who will stand by the camera and actually like tap the camera to get like a rhythm that he wants from it. But that one just looked like it was added in post.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's anything worse than having all of this rumbling and shaking, but the actors are standing perfectly still like it is not happening at all. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously something that is a post decision because it's like, well, it's not really action-packed. Maybe if we shook the shit out of the actual footage. And now we get the big reveal of this gigantic hemorrhoid squid that is... we have my lizard in the room that is making extra sound effects in case you're wondering what it is. We're not adding our own. And I would have left them an hour ago.
Yeah.
But they choose this incredibly slow walking out backwards. And...
he's... Right. Treat Williams has been caught, but because he's the hero, you know he's going to get away.
Yes. And he's conveniently had this shotgun on his back for the entire movie and not used it. Just purposely.
Why is the creature fighting him? Why doesn't he just eat it?
He's definitely got enough arms to do it.
All of the others, he's just gone, And
now we get the reveal of this giant monster kaiju squid's face, which is a mountain of teeth and a really bad CGI eye.
Yeah.
Which now is about to get shot out.
That's supposed to be a hero moment, but everything there just took so long to accomplish, it doesn't feel like a hero moment.
I reckon they should release a version of this on Blu-ray without the CGI. I would be interested to see more how they kind of accomplish all of the stuff, because Treat Williams is obviously dangling by wires or a wire vest or something like that.
I thought you just meant they just do one without CGI so it looks like they've all gone crazy. just so that it looks like they're just randomly shooting at nothing.
Do the Scorpion King 2 version with an invisible squid for the movie because he couldn't afford the effects. That'd be absolutely brilliant.
Oh, that'd be great.
So here's the tease that Joey Pantucci has actually died. And he hasn't. Which is a shame. Because you've got like loads of spunk all over the chairs.
Yeah, or that whatever that's slime. Wait, where's Famke Janssen while all this is going on?
She did a runner, so she's actually running somewhere through the ship. But amazingly enough, Treat Williams got back to the boat before her. So we have no idea where Famke Janssen is.
This feels disjointed.
Yeah, she's now back to the very room she was in earlier.
Yeah.
When Anthony Heald found her. Oh, there's a shot of the jet ski there in case you wondered if that's coming into play.
And so now she's got the gun back. She's going to probably grab another key out. So this kind of feels like everything which has just happened.
That's a very alien shot as well.
Yeah. Everything that's just happened in the ballroom doesn't feel like it needs to have happened.
So obviously you can see the influences an absolute mile away.
Yes.
No, we have the scene there where Famke Janssen spun round and almost shot Treat Williams, and all of the bullets shot around where his legs were, but amazingly enough, no bullet seems to have hit him once it hit the water.
Go on, not Nick Nolte.
I love the fact that Anthony Heald has gone into a cartoon version of his character where all of his expressions are way over the top for everything.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're properly excessive.
Yeah, he's got wide-eyed, swivel-eyed lunacy whilst licking his lips really cartoonish for no reason. And he's just jumping onto a boat and broken his leg.
Yeah. I wouldn't have done that.
And now here is the reason. The jet ski has finally come into play. So now they're taking a trip down the hallway in order to build enough speed up to do a
get
jump.
over the ramp. But, you don't need that much speed to get over a ramp.
No. But I remember that this was featured on... Remember the Saturday afternoon things where they'd have, shows about stunts and things like that?
Oh, yes.
And this scene was featured, or this stunt work done on this jet ski, which is quite impressive. More impressive than the CGI and effects work that was going on in that shot.
Yeah, it's impressive when it's not matched in with the CGI.
Yeah. And there's a scene here with an elevator coming up that I think is just genius at being terrible. If ever you wonder if you can open an elevator door by blowing the shit out of the button with a shotgun whilst approaching it from...
Ooh, that's a nasty break.
A good 1 minute away, you can. But stunt work, I will actually give the stunt work some credit here. I mean, this is actually really impressive work done on this jet ski.
Yeah, because those are tight corridors, and it doesn't really matter which way you
I mean, I've never been on a jet ski, but I can imagine that trying to get them down a thin corridor is really tough. And there you go, look,
yep.
Bang.
Boom.
Shoots it with a pump-action shotgun. So the elevator opens, cocks the gun, shoots the other side so it opens. What a crock of shit.
I will give it this, though. It is imaginative.
Yeah.
It's not just your usual kind of... we need to just go down some tunnels. At least it adds something new.
That elevator was coming down. Who pressed the button to come down? And how did he know when he was not shooting through that elevator that he was going to kill a survivor who's managed to get through the entire movie so far? By the way, Anthony Heald has managed to make it onto the boat that is now cruising towards the ship with the bomb getting ready to go off. And just so we can get some extra cartoon facials in.
Which is an interesting choice of words considering all the gloopy stuff that's fallen from the ceiling.
Yes. And now, here we go.
The lizard is properly going for it.
I know. Hungry, probably. But so, the great thing is the little boat blows up first, right? And then for no reason, the rest of the ship just suddenly blows up afterwards.
Yeah.
Instead of all blowing up at the same time.
Which it would do. Or at least I assume that it would do.
So now we get some more impressive jet ski work. And this effect still makes me wince to this day. There we go.
Oh, yeah, that's rear screen projection going on.
Yeah, and it's bad.
And it's bad.
And here we go.
Oh, God, that is rotten.
Famke Janssen's face really sells that effect shot. It's like, the look on her face is one of, I hope this doesn't look terrible.
Oh, and that explosion of the creature. Oh, that was awful.
Yeah, so now the Organautica has been blown to bits, or a very rear projection model of it has been blown to bits.
Yeah.
And now they're going to the island on this little jet ski. So I am actually kind of glad that it didn't do the fade into them both unconscious on the beach and then wake up, which is the typical
cliche.
shot. The major cliche.
Yeah.
But the jet ski's screwed. They're stranded on an island. Famke Janssen still has all of her makeup looking absolutely perfect, despite being absolutely drenched.
And she did actually have the presence of mind to wear an undershirt.
Yes.
Yes.
Because she knew exactly what those directors were on about. And then the worst point of this entire movie happens when we suddenly discover that the ultimate cock block is going to wash up on the beach in Joey Pantucci.
In that case,
on a surfboard.
This is... I'm sure that I remember seeing this movie, and he ends up like being digested in a ballroom, and he just comes out in just like this puddle that's kind of screaming. So I must be thinking of a completely different film.
That's the version of the movie I want to see.
Yeah, because I'm sure that he was a bad guy.
So...
and then they were in like a ballroom, which they were in the ballroom just before when the big creature revealed. But I'm sure he got eaten and then effectively then got shat out by the creature. So if you guys know what film that was in, or if you've got something which
if there's an
similar,
alternate version of this movie, I want to see it.
So do I.
Because now he's looking more like Tom Noonan than I've ever seen.
Yeah, Tom Noonan in The Last Action Hero.
Yeah. He's the Ripper from The Last Action Hero. You know, so you have this bit where they're all laughing on the beach, you know, despite the fact that his girlfriend died 5 hours ago. They're stranded on a beach, but they're all having a laugh. And then suddenly the big twist, there's beastly roaring. And we pan back to see...
Birds.
Basically, some kind of monster is on this island. We've got active volcanoes. Where the are they?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the last version I saw of this didn't have that volcano in the background.
I don't know either. So we both might have false memories of this movie.
It could
be somewhere else.
Yeah. You might have been thinking of Deep Blue Sea.
Deeper. No.
Bluer.
No, it definitely wasn't deeper. Bluer. No, this was like, it was like another kind of creature feature. I'm sure it took place on a big boat.
There was one called Proteus that came out that had Craig Fairbrass in it, which was absolutely horrendous. And that was kind of around this time. And this was the time when all of them came out. All of them kind of came around this time frame. I don't know which one was first, but I know in the 80s they had ones like Deep Star 6, Leviathan, which was edited by Gillian Hutching. Hi, Gillian.
Hi, Gillian.
But yeah, I can't believe we just sat through Deep Rising. I know for a fact I'm never, ever going to watch this movie ever again.
Are you done with it now?
I'm done with it. Kevin J. O'Connor, it's the most annoying thing, and he's probably a really nice guy. But in this movie, he's really annoying.
To be honest, though, I think that's kind of like his shtick in Stephen Sommers movies.
Yeah.
Is he comes on, he is the annoying kind of sidekick, either of the bad guy or the good guy, and that's his thing. God, your bearded iguana really wants to get out.
I know, we're going to have our own Deep Rising situation here. I think I need to give it some food.
I think we might need to turn it into food.
I need a new belt for when I go away.
Okay, so the credits are rolling. Your thoughts, Andrew?
I don't know what it is about this movie that I always keep coming back to. It's not a great movie, but I've seen a lot worse in the genre. Right? And back in the day, I thought, this is actually really cool. You know, and the effects were great back then. Some of them still hold up pretty well.
Some of them do.
And a lot of them don't. This is a movie that does need remastering.
Does it, though?
No, it doesn't.
Does
really.
it?
No. And I think the bigger picture, especially for Stephen Sommers, is he was in love with doing homages to his favourite stuff.
Yeah.
So Star Wars, definitely. You know, we can see that in there. There's a few touches to The Abyss. There's a few touches to what was the other movie we kind of mentioned?
There was Aliens.
Aliens,
Yeah.
definitely. You know, and that's probably the stuff he loves. You know, you got Rob Bottin. So there's even a touch of The Thing, really.
Yeah.
There's a bit of homage to The Thing, and it's not just the Rob Bottin. I can tell he's probably gone to Rob Bottin. You know that scene in The Thing where you had it like blowing up all of the grounds that travel along? I want that in my movie. It's a film that has unfortunately got hampered by a lot of scheduling.
Yes.
Didn't help that it was released a week after the biggest water disaster movie of all time, I guess.
That wasn't Waterworld.
That was not Waterworld. Yeah. Kevin's Gate. Yeah, it has good points and it has a lot of bad points.
Well, it is what it is, though, isn't it?
If you
is
want...
a cheesy, schlocky monster movie with guns. Like you say, some reasonable special effects. Some of the effects have held up, others haven't. And it just kind of is.
Yeah.
Really.
It's a film.
It's definitely a film.
It's an inoffensive film you could probably catch on the Sci-Fi Channel one night.
Yeah.
And just have some fun with it. Standouts for me, I mean, for God's sake, Trevor Goddard's in there.
Yeah.
So Kano's in there. They obviously got enough money through the casting to make the movie. It'd be interesting to see what it could have been with Harrison Ford in it, because I'm sure Harrison would have said, "Oh, I'm not."
I think it would have been funnier seeing how Harrison Ford runs. Seeing him towards the end of the movie doing that kind of... I don't know if he broke his ankle or something, because I know I did my ankle in last year and I've not been able to walk properly since, but I would have loved to have seen him running throughout the end of this, doing that weird kind of hobble that he does.
I would love to have seen him on a jet ski, to be honest. But he probably would have switched it and they wouldn't have come in on a boat. They would have come into a plane and crashed into the bloody ship.
At the end of it,
making an emergency landing.
He would have grabbed hold of the creature and gone, "Get off my boat!" Yeah.
Yeah. So, Deep Rising. Your thoughts, Steve?
Like you say, it just is. Is it a particularly brilliant film? No. Is it a particularly bad film? No. It's just one of those survival movies, I suppose you could call them, really, if there's any kind of name to be given to this kind of genre. It's one of the better well done ones, because some of them have been absolute garbage, but it just kind of is, and you can see where either it's cribbed from other movies or where conversely I think movies have cribbed from here. I don't know where the ideas have come from, because we pulled out a few key scenes here and there, such as with the diving underwater that came from Alien Resurrection, and that could have very easily have worked there. So there's nothing in here which is particularly original. There's nothing in here which particularly stand out, apart from some of the gore effects. Cool, but even so, they just...
There's some imaginative death.
Yeah.
I think out of every single person in this movie, Famke Janssen's the one who comes out unscathed.
Yes.
She obviously, she was brought into production late after they'd already started. Not
really a damsel in distress either.
No, actually, she's pretty reliant. She's not there screaming. She's not. She holds her own. She's pretty tough in the movie.
Yeah.
Obviously following that Ripley model.
Yeah.
But she shines in the movie. I guess I'd call it a Famke Janssen movie if I had to call it anything.
Right. Well, on that note, thank you very much for listening to us go over this rather movie-ish movie. Apologies once again for the sound effects of additional animals. But for now, I hope you enjoyed listening to that.
What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Boom.
Well, that woke me up.
Should turn your headphones down.
I know. But hey, I needed the full wake up. There's a lot to do today.
Yes. And
Oh,
now,
yes. We're back with me being in LA, by the way,
yes.
after the watch along. Hope you enjoyed it.
And if you didn't, whatever.
Yeah. It's too late now. It's
Yeah.
like 2 hours a year. 2 hours of your life you ain't getting back.
No.
And we ain't apologetic.
At least you got to see some rather interesting gore effects. So there's that.
Yes. So yeah, we have no Nominate 5 this week because
No.
I mean, what's the point? And plus, the episode was a longer one anyway. So we decided to jump straight into what's in the box. And what's in the box, Steve?
What's in the box is the part of the show where Andy tries to get me away from such schlock that you've just kind of sat through for the last 2 hours and tries to get me watching some decent films. Andy has got a selection of movies that are certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and he's going to put his hand into a box. Do you have a little travel box over there?
I did. I packed some in the travel box.
If I have seen it, then we're going to keep going into the box and pulling out names until we find one that I haven't seen, and then I go away and watch it the night before we record our next episode.
That's easy for you to say.
No, it
15
isn't.
times. So, so yes. Are you ready? I'm going with this one first. I've
Okay.
got my others lined up here. So, in a bit of a drum roll. Oh, look at this. You get a bit of an animated movie. It's one you can watch with the kids.
Ooh.
Unless you've actually seen it before.
Oh, yes, because that is the proviso. What is it?
Well, the good news is it's not 2007.
Oh, excellent.
It's actually 2006.
Okay.
And it was probably released in 2007. But you've got Gil Keenan's computer-animated supernatural comedy horror Monster House.
I haven't seen it, actually.
Oh, you'll love it. I actually really love this. You've got some great voices in there, including Catherine O'Hara, so you'll be happy. You've got Steve Buscemi, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Kevin James, Fred Willard, the late Fred Willard, John Heder from Napoleon Dynamite. And it's so fun. I've watched this a couple of times now. I watched it with my son recently, over Halloween, funnily enough. And it's just brilliant. It really is. It's got a real Steven Spielberg vibe about it.
Awesome.
You know, like you're watching
So it's a
an
bit
80s
creepy.
Steven Spielberg movie. Yeah, and it's brilliantly animated as well. I think it was a Sony movie. And it's Zemeckis produced it along with Amblin, so of course it's going to have that Spielberg vibe about it.
Right, you only
But
needed to say Robert Zemeckis, and then I knew exactly what it is that you were going for.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you'll enjoy that. I think that's going to be right up your alley. You know, and they did Surf's Up the year after, and you've already seen that. So
Yeah, I've seen that one. So that was 2007.
yes,
Yes.
that was the follow-on movie. And yet again next week, I'll be in Los Angeles, and
Still.
I'll be able to hear all about it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I saw David yesterday, by the way.
Did you say hi?
Yeah, of course. Of course. We're having good. And I saw Elizabeth as well, and Elizabeth says to say hi, you're so funny.
Oh, bless her little cotton soul.
I know. She's looking forward to coming back on, so we'll have to do that.
Yes, we will. For now, though, I guess that's the end of our episode, isn't it?
It is.
This rather
Yes.
unique, multi-time frame, multi-locational experiment.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. Just put it down to that if it sucks.
Yeah. And if you really enjoyed it, let us know.
Yes. And next week, you can join us for Get It Fresh 3, which people have really enjoyed. So we thought, why not? Let's do a Get It Fresh 3.
Yeah. For now, though, it has been a goodbye from me.
And I'll catch you soon from me.
Bye.
Bye.